You're leaving.
If I told her, she'd only convince me not to.
Well, she'd be right, man. I mean, she needs you.
I'm the last thing she needs.
Doesn't it mean anything to you that she'll be heartbroken? I mean, how can you do this?
If I stay with her, believe me, the pain will be worse.
So, that's it? You're just leaving?
Look, it's for the best. I leave tomorrow.
Look, in case you didn't notice, Luke, you're not the most popular guy. Okay, you go out there and sooner or later someone is going to get you.
You think I don't know that?
Welcome to Series 3, Episode 51 of Conversation on Eagle Mountain, a podcast about the tribe. I'm your host, Lance, and joining my podcast panel today is Liz.
Hello.
And Sabine.
Hi.
With episode notes done by Matt and myself. So Series 3, Episode 51. The screenplay was done by Joe Boyle. It was directed by John Reed. And the episode synopsis was read out by Sabine.
The Mallrats prepare to recapture the Guardian, inadvertently leaving both Tyson and Ebony with a moral dilemma. Pride tracks down a heartbroken May, whilst Luke leaves Ellie a goodbye note.
What a
It's not just the leaving a note that gets me. It's the audacity to leave the note with Jack.
With Jack, yeah.
Alright, me and two of my deputies will be over here in the bush. Bray and Pride, you'll be over here. Nobody moves until my signal, alright?
Which is what?
A whistle. Alright, now listen up, everybody, because this is Tyson out there with this creep. We move fast.
With the helping visual aid of several toys, Sheriff Lex lays out his plans for the ambush of the Guardian. Despite not wanting to betray his trust, Tyson knows that this is the right thing to do. So panel, we will get to Tyson specifically a bit later during the ambush, but for now, let's focus on what did you make of the war room meeting? What do you think of Lex's plans, and obviously Amber making sure to assess the Guardian's state of mind?
May I just say that Lex trying to explain his plan with all the little toys it mainly reminded me of Sasha with the tomatoes. You know?
Oh yeah.
It's the first thing that came to mind, because the thing Lex holds up for Bray it looks like either a strawberry or a tomato. I'm still not sure. But yeah, that was the first thing that stood out to me about this whole scene. As for the plan itself, yeah, I mean, at least they thought about it up front. So that's something.
Yeah, the only thing I can really say about the scene is what I have to say about the whole episode. It's efficient. You know what I mean? It's not deep. It ignores all the great conversations that could have happened and real discussions, but it gets the job done. They hit the bulletin points in this meeting. You know, they have a plan of action. It at least makes sense. The plan, there's a couple of relevant questions. It hits some of the most basic beats of character development. You know, Tyson not wanting to do this, but being willing to do it. That's a step forward for her. You know, I would even dare say call it character development. Because, you know, in the past she would have fought them tooth and nail on this. And instead here she's recognizing I was wrong and it needs to be done. So it's like, okay, here's a cookie. You know what I mean? It's efficient. That's basically... It's nothing outstanding. We've seen battle plans from them that are actually better, more creative, more engaging, but it's competent.
At least it's better than the kidnapping of the ransom note holder. So at least it's better than that.
Yeah.
I actually thought about it.
You know, people are expressing things that make sense for them to express. Lex is big. This is my wife out there. So we aren't playing games. That makes sense for Lex to be focused on that. I want to get this done. I want to be a hero, clearly, but he at least is showing genuine concern for someone he loves. It's just, you know, Amber would be the one to want to know, okay, how dangerous is he going to be, so that we know the sort of force we should be employing in this, or our strategy. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, you're all doing what you're supposed to.
You know, I can't think of anything else. It's like you said, it is just efficient, like the whole episode. But
Yeah. So there are worse things to be.
especially in season 3.
Exactly. Take what we can get. If this season hadn't like drained me as much as it has, this could be a scene that would make me feel like, oh wow, this is pretty reminiscent of the moments a tribe has had to gather in a room and strategize about something, and you get to hear all these voices, chiming in. That is something I've always loved about the show.
Yeah.
Because I always love that interest in the cast and hearing their different voices. And when a good writer can get all those voices to contribute to a conversation to the point where it distracts you from the fact that maybe a character only said one thing, you still felt like they were participating, But I am worn down by the season, so I'm just like, it's fine. But I do think it is reminiscent of that nice feeling of the group working together, discussing something, coming up with a plan,
Okay, we'll come to the ambush itself in a little bit. But first...
You want to talk about it?
There's nothing to talk about.
May's not getting your full attention right now, is she?
Hey, May's a great girl, and I've really grown to like her.
And?
And I never should have encouraged her. I gave her the wrong signals, and now I feel really bad about it.
Amber tells him, under no circumstances, that he should let her be out there with a broken heart. So, panel, what did you make of Amber's stance here about May and Pride?
I guess I'm two minds about it. It definitely feels like an Amber sort of thing, to be like, you need to make this right. That was definitely one of her calling cards, telling people how they should manage things. There's nothing wrong with that. That is a very Amber thing to do. Be like, what? You let her just leave her home because you gave her wrong signals? What a way to phrase it, Pride. Yeah, wrong signals all the way into our bloop. But anyway, but there's this other part. There's this other part of me that feels one, she's disappointed in him. Like, she's not a dummy. He may say, oh, I gave her the wrong signals, and that's why she's left. But Amber's not stupid. You know what I mean? I think she's cottoned on real quick to what's been going on between May and Pride. And she does have experience of being in a relationship with him and probably knows how strong he comes on when he wants something. So I think part of it, there's some disappointment in him. Like, I know what you did. And also even maybe an awareness that his distance from May is because of her. When she wanted to end their relationship, you always got that feeling that Amber really just wanted Pride to find somebody else to be with. So it's like, there's a sense that she's disappointed in him, that he would use somebody and then try to ditch that person because she's back in the picture. And there's a part of me that feels like she wants him to fix it with May, so again, she doesn't have to worry about him. She couldn't make it any clearer. There's no chance for us, so you better go and get the one person that wants you. Yeah, exactly.
It's like she needs him to be paired off with someone.
Right.
Or it's better for her level of guilt.
Or if you want to be gracious, you could say that she sees it as, I don't ruin your chance with somebody because you still have hopes that you and I are going to work out. Like, don't do that because you and I are never going to work out. So you better go make this right. Because I'm not going to change my mind. So don't be throwing it away because of me, dude. That would be a waste.
Oh, the look on her face, though, it was so utterly disappointed with him. Just so fitting.
I mean, you could even, there's so many reads you can get from it and so many motives you can ascribe to Amber in this moment. You could even make an argument that she knows she has influence over Pride, and so that she knows that shaming him into doing this, he will definitely do it because she said he should. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's just so much you can play with.
And then there's that little part of her specifically saying she shouldn't be out there on her own with a broken heart. That makes me think she feels for May as well. Because she knows what it's like to be out there with a broken heart, believing something that a guy, if May feels led on, that's how Ember felt when she vanished. She wrongly believed it, but still she believed it. So I do think she actually feels bad for May in this.
Even if the only reason she feels bad for May is because she thinks Pride was using her, all because he can't be with Amber, and she's not cool with that.
You're right. There's so many different reads you could have taken from this. It's like,
and that does make it quite interesting. It's one of the few times where a conversation feels so layered, and it's only a few things she's saying to him. But I don't know if it's her acting or their history. I don't know, but it's a rare gem of like, wow, you can actually kind of pull this apart and discuss and debate where Amber's coming in from and what she means and what her objective is and blah, blah, blah.
Right, with the ambush well underway, Bray, Pride, Lex, and his posse lie in wait.
What do you think you're doing back there, huh? Well, no one said nothing.
What, so you thought you'd just kill him? Get out of here. Bray, what's he supposed to do? He's in battle conditions.
Forget it. It's all over. Let's just go home.
You ever considered making a career out of saving his life, Bray?
Bray puts a stop to the suspicious acting Duff, who had a secret instrument to deliver Ebony's justice. Meanwhile, Tysan sheds silent tears. So panel, what did you make of the ambush itself, Bray ultimately saving the Guardian's life, and then Tysan's reaction?
Oh, Bray, you just can't help yourself, can you?
Yeah, I can't not agree with Lex, where it's like, you should just make a career of saving this guy's life. This is the most proficient you've ever been in getting anything done, is making sure this man doesn't die.
It's not wrong, yeah.
He saved him more times than he saved his own partner or, family, basically.
Or family, yeah.
Very much. And I'm not even saying it's a bad thing that he's saving his life, but it isn't a good look when it's like, wow, you've been more consistent in saving this guy than anybody that's supposed to really matter to you. That's funny.
As for the chase itself, it was just, seriously, it's like watching, a sports game. The evasiveness and the...
I'm sorry. Why did they film it like that? I'm sorry. It's just it was hilarious. I found it hilarious. The splashing about in the water, the running around trying to tag each other. I just found it hilarious. But I suppose it was supposed to be serious, but they didn't work for me.
I mean, I get Duff trying to, get rid of him in the water. Easy and sufficient.
Duff didn't have the best plan. Maybe he wasn't informed that these guys are going to do everything they can to take him alive, so...
Nope.
You're going to need a much more intricate plan than just ambushing. Like, I don't know. I don't know if he was given proper information so that he could actually do this plan without making himself so friggin' obvious. I don't know.
I like this look, though.
It's just nice to see another person living in the city.
Say, somebody else from a different tribe.
Yeah, like, okay. There's some interesting lore about this guy that Maz knew somebody who she was like, look, we need someone dead, and it's the Guardian, and he was all for it. Like, absolutely. Even with the sheriff around, I will totally do this thing. That's interesting,
And he's got like this poisoned knife ring thing. He's like, that's so interesting, man. That's so cool. Like, gonna have a whole backstory on that.
I want to know more about Duff. Is he a mercenary? Is this what he does for a living? You know what I mean? I want to know about Duff.
Yeah, the girls were just like, oh, well, I know a guy.
That's not a bad thing to know. And it's actually kind of expands the lore of the world just a little bit. That you got little mercenaries out there. And I guess the stunt work is fine. It's fine, I guess. I don't want to give him too much flack for it, but it's not filmed great. But are they ever filmed great?
There are some moments.
They used to be, yeah. I think they put a bit more effort. I mean, just back again, I know. It's it's horrible to say, but series 1, like the tribe circus attack, like you can pick any moment, like it was just filmed better, even though they were new and fresh and couldn't like choreograph properly themselves. It was just done well, but here I just felt, yeah.
Okay, it was more earnest in earlier seasons. Like, as silly as it might look, the girls throwing pillows at Tribe Circus, because they obviously couldn't throw anything harder. It did feel like there was a desperate scramble to do anything you could to stop them, and so yeah, I do feel like a lot of the earnestness isn't here, but it might have been a difficult thing to choreograph, and might have been I don't know, maybe they didn't have a lot of time to get the shot. Water was involved.
I was going to say the water did not help.
Yeah, that means for any if you want to do another take, everyone's got to get dry, makeup's got to be redone. So maybe they're just the logistics of it. It was a little more ambitious. I'll give it that. I feel like it was an ambitious stunt, which is why I'm not too hard on it. And maybe it was just a really difficult one to try to get.
It just made me laugh so much, them all running there. It's like the Guardian has the ball, he's going to the left.
Hey, the Guardian could run.
Oh yeah, pretty sure Jaffa was chased in high school,
Yeah, there's a lot of history there, you can tell. And yeah, Tai San's tears, people. What'd you make? Tears.
She is sad that basically taking away someone's freedom and betraying someone's trust, even someone as evil as him, just goes against her beliefs. I think she feels worse about betraying her own beliefs in that than about him, actually.
It doesn't bother me because, again, she's allowed to feel more than one thing about this. Like, she admits it has to be done. He has to be captured. He's dangerous. He killed somebody. But she doesn't have to be happy about participating in it and knowing that the only way he was captured was because she had to betray his trust. So I'm like, I'm okay with it. It's very rare that characters are allowed to have a duality of emotions about anything. So I'm like, all right.
And it would have been odd for Tai-San not to have any form of emotional response to this.
I mean, he was her husband,
Yes.
I mean,
it was her husband, her pet project. She's heartbroken that she couldn't fix her project.
True, she is.
A bit. Channel was like, Tai-San cried more over the Guardian than Lex. And I was like, you know what? I understand. Like you said to me, you said it really well. Like, yeah, I know it's the betrayal more than the Guardian himself, but you're crying tears here. I mean, and you've never done this before with Lex. Like, no, it's not a good look. It's not a good look.
Well, some of that is blamed on the fact that there's no subtlety to things anymore. Like, like the way characters have to expound whatever they're feeling is very over the top, and that will continue as the show goes on and peak in season 5. Like, oh my gosh. It was like, I want more. Turn it up to 11 for every emotional reaction you have to anything. So yeah, earlier she would have been able to show her pain at betraying him in a more subtle way, but we are playing to the back row. So I guess I'm just not surprised that they went for that. Really show it so that it's very obvious you feel sad about this.
I mean, she performed it well. Like, it was.
Yeah.
I felt it, but
she looked believably sad.
Yeah.
But I mean, they already jumped the boat by making her concern for the Guardian stronger than concern she's had about anybody ever. So I mean, like,
yeah,
the horse has left the stables on this. There's no going back and making sense of why, of all the people she could have shown this level of concern for, it was this guy, and it's still to this day has never been explained why.
Yeah.
And that's all I need. I just need a good reason. Like, again, maybe she dealt with someone with mental illness in her past, or, just give me
That's
something.
all we needed, yeah. Just a little.
Is why it was so important to her to get through to this man and save this man at the detriment of everyone around her, but So it's like her crying about betraying him isn't any worse than everything we've seen her do for the Guardian, forsaking everybody else in order to do it. You know, so it's like it's the least controversial. That's all I can say.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just amazed at how a single line could have just saved everything in this. Like you just mentioned, like if we had just learned that like her elderly grandparent had been suffering from this illness and she had to take care of them, like that would have instantly solved all my issues with this completely. A single line like that could have solved this for me.
Yeah, I mean, if you've ever had to deal with someone with like Alzheimer's or dementia, you can see them go from being the most loving person you know to violent and awful and terrible, and wanting to fix that, and knowing that there was a good person somewhere trapped inside, and that it's the deterioration of the brain that's done this to them and changed them. And there's other diseases that do the same thing, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So anything like that would have definitely, maybe a younger audience wouldn't quite get it, but as time went on, they would have picked up on, oh, I get it now, why it was so important for her to try to save him from himself, you know, but she's never given any reason for that, and given her past, you don't have much to work off of where this came from.
Yeah, you've got nothing to work off on her past.
Yeah, it's one of those things where a good backstory would have worked miracles, basically.
Like, get rid of the Lex and Ryan backstory. We needed a Tai-San backstory.
But like you mentioned, I think not a few podcast episodes ago, even a single line like with Amber and the cult leader sister, like that, just a simple line helps so much with why she was trying so hard with Trudy. Like, just that's all you needed, like a little line. It didn't have to be in depth, even though that would have been amazing. But that's all we needed. Just a single line just to help frame why she is so deeply involved in this.
Yeah. Because that single line implies so much.
Yeah.
Amber having a loved one fall into a cult and seeing what it turned them into immediately implies the compassion she feels for people in this situation, knowing in her belief that they need to be saved from the cells, and it implies that she sees them as victims, and on and on and on. You know what I mean? It implies she had to deal with it firsthand, blah, blah, blah. That's all you need to completely explain away how she was able to get through to Trudy off screen.
Yeah.
And again, a younger audience member may not even know what a cult is, but as they get older and, you know, absorb more information from the world, all of a sudden what Amber said makes way more sense to them. Like, oh, get it. Wow, it's pretty deep what she was able to do. Yeah, so a sentence. A simple sentence. I was a candy striper in a hospice. You know what I mean? Like, just anything.
Oh my goodness, I'm now imagining Tai-San in the most horrible Halloween candy striper outfit. But
like, oh, okay. She has a history of trying to fix people. Gotcha. I mean, she does kind of have a history of trying to fix people, but this one you'd understand why it mattered more.
Oh, sorry, I just had to Google that. I wasn't sure. I wasn't quite sure the reference. I had to Google it. So.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's right. Yeah, that makes sense.
For those who've never heard the term, candy stripers are usually young people who work in hospitals or any care facilities, and just, you know, they help with daily tasks, and they're not nurses or not practice or no licenses, but, you know, that's just what they do. And they often, even if it's just for companionship, you know, and blah, blah, blah. Used to have to wear these silly little uniforms. They used to be mostly females, and that's how they got the nickname Candy Striper, because of what they were wearing.
Of the red and white stripes.
Meanwhile, Chloe and Trudy reflect on all that has happened since she's been gone.
It seems an age since it was me, Patsy, Celine, and Ryan. That felt like a family. Now it's just me.
There was a time when we thought we'd never see you again. And here you are. And I'm sure that by now Celine and Ryan are together. And soon, they'll come home too.
Trudy does take this time to apologise to Chloe, but Chloe states that she has already moved on. Yeah, panel, like as Amy mentioned in the previous podcast, this kind of was a whole huge missed opportunity between the two characters. And here we're just seeing it again kind of swept under the rug and forgotten about. Yeah, what were your thoughts about this scene?
Missed opportunity.
Could have been so much better than this, but at least they addressed it.
I was going to say the same thing. At least they addressed how Trudy terrorized this poor girl, and feels sorry. She feels remorse. And so I'm like, at least you didn't ignore that it happened. And Chloe's being very gracious about it. Granted, missed opportunity. There's so much more they could have talked about, but
Like Patsy.
Come on, we need something more from this.
oh, yes, they need a lot more.
Chloe's just come back from the mines that after being sent for kidnap for being a spy, after all everything happened with Trudy. Like, I need something. I need a hint of resentment, some anger, like a little snide remark, something just about her, like something, not just I've moved on. Like, no, we need something.
I guess I get that that's the theme about everything. We've moved on. That was yesterday or whatever. No matter how big, I mean, we shouldn't be surprised that that's all Chloe has to say to the apology. Is that because they did the same thing with the freaking Guardian. It was last week, guys. We've moved on. You know what I mean? We moved on from Ned being the kidnapper. No one's mad about that. Like, we move on past everything. So why should we be surprised? That's the words they put in Chloe's mouth. But I still would have liked to hear, like, even if Chloe was still just as gracious and accepted the apology, like, hey, what's done is done. Time only moves forward. You know what I mean? You clearly, I've grown up enough to see you were a victim as much as the rest of us, and that's not who you are. I still would have liked to hear a little bit more from Trudy, because here she is apologizing to what she did to Chloe, but does she ever think about what she did is why Patsy is no longer with us? Do you know what I mean? Like, does she feel any guilt? We know that Alice doesn't feel any guilt about Patsy. We know that, Ellie might have felt the most, even a smidge of guilt for, Patsy. Does Trudy feel any responsibility for what happened to Patsy? You know what I mean? Like, I would have liked to hear her lament. Like, I'm not saying she needs to take the blame. Just lament that where she was put Patsy in such a dangerous position. The things Patsy had to see and experience because of what Trudy did. And the fact that it put her in just as dangerous a situation as Chloe, only Patsy didn't make it. You know what I mean? Like, does she feel anything about that? And again, I'm not blaming her.
The only thing I can come up with as to why Trudy would not mention that, the only defense I can think of, is that it would just mentally break Trudy once over.
And again, I want to reiterate, I'm not blaming Trudy for what happened to Patsy. It's just that I'm surprised she doesn't seem to feel anything about it. Even if she doesn't feel guilt, just a sense of remorse that Patsy's gone. Patsy was her protege. She did care about that little girl, even outside of her, brainwashing and stuff like that, and using Patsy as a tool. She did care about Patsy at one point in time. And she was a child in your family, and she's gone forever now. And do you not feel anything about that? And but yeah, maybe it would break her to acknowledge Patsy. Maybe that's why she has such toxic positivity. That maybe that's her coping mechanism. But I wouldn't have mind hearing that it talked about.
Honestly, I always hoped, especially with this scene, that Chloe would have said something about it with I get you're sorry, but that doesn't bring Patsy back, or something like that,
Yeah, but they clearly didn't want Chloe to have any bitterness, because the mines clearly were a cakewalk. It was a spa day. Chloe looked amazing.
Honestly, the mines in season 3 were clearly better than the ones that we see later on in future seasons.
So,
less hard work.
I will just say I'm glad that she at least apologizes, even if it's a little lackluster. There's so much more that could have been addressed. But I'm glad they at least have the moment acknowledging that she tormented this poor kid.
And she mentioned Ryan. I'm kind of glad she did that. At least something is said amongst the lines of Celine probably having found Ryan by now. It gave hope.
If I wanted to give this minor interaction depth, you could even argue that the reason Chloe doesn't mention Patsy is purposeful. Because you'll notice, remember, she was a family. Celine, Ryan, Chloe, Patsy. They were their own little nuclear family within the tribe. So when she's talking about being here and what's been lost, she only mentioned Celine and Ryan. You know what I mean? It just feels purposeful. Like she doesn't want to hurt Trudy. Maybe I heard it wrong, but like she's being graceful to Trudy. Like what happened to Patsy can't be changed, and not focusing on it is almost her silent way of saying I don't blame you for Patsy, you know. And then of course Trudy jumps on that to try and comfort her, explaining that, you know, we thought we'd never see you again. I'm sure Ryan and Celine have found each other, so there's always hope. Which, you know, is kind of profound coming from Trudy, given what she's been through and knows what it's like to be in the depths of despair and have no hope. So, I mean, but again, this is just me adding crap to the conversation that's not there, you know. But, you know, I imagine a fanfic writer who's trying to, you know, give these characters deeper motivation and thought processes. If they wanted to, you know, do the internal monologue, could do something with this, what either of them were thinking and why certain things aren't actually said. But I don't think the writers of the show were considering any of that.
No.
So all in all, could have been so much better, but at least it's something.
Yeah, bare minimum. Bullet point. Trudy apologized. Moving on.
And next!
Moving on.
Chloe has no trauma. No trauma whatsoever. She's fine.
It's fine.
Not a single one, yeah.
Trudy's fine.
The only people who have trauma are the ones who got their heart broken from like a relationship. That's it.
Yeah, it's not like Trudy was dumped by a boyfriend. That would mean they would actually allow her to have one.
Oh, jeez.
Oh. I was going to make a joke that she had one for 5 seconds, but I'm sorry.
And then they yeeted him across the balcony.
I was thinking of Jay, but I was going to talk about Jay. But
she wasn't in a relationship with Jay. She was victimized by Jay.
Yeah. He was a placeholder. We're not at Jay yet. Whole different can of worms.
All right. I know you guys are waiting to talk about May and Pride, so let's jump straight to it.
I can't live like that, okay? Being around you, not being able to touch you. Seeing you every day, knowing you don't want to see me. It's like a torture.
Well, you're right about one thing. You don't know me very well. Because if you did, you wouldn't jump to so many conclusions. Well, you said I don't feel the same. Where did you get that one? I do love you.
Yeah, go ahead, panel.
KC. Little sweetheart almost got his chance, you know?
I actually like that moment between May and Casey. There is actually some nuance because for most of the conversation, Casey thinks she's talking about him. He thinks she's regretting turning him down. You know what I mean? Like, when she mentions Pride, like, he's absolutely shocked. He had no idea she was discussing her relationship with Pride. Like, I thought that was really interesting little reveal that he's listening and, like, where's she going with this? You know? And then when she's like, who did you think I was talking about? You know? And I also like how quickly he goes from his disappointment of, okay, of course she wasn't talking about me, you know, Casey, get your head out of the clouds, to indignant on her behalf, you know, and I thought it was quite wholesome because he thought at first that someone had hurt her physically, and he's like, who the frick was it? Point him out, you know, like, I was like, that's actually adorable.
Yeah.
Casey's like, I'm gonna go find him, I'm gonna do something to him, I'll have him taken care of. I'm like, okay, that's adorable.
To be fair, he would.
He would. He'd find a way. He'd have them dealt
I'm
with.
instantly remembering him defending Sandra, you know?
That was actually quite precious. And so I actually really like that scene with them, and even Pride overhearing Casey's words and doesn't defend himself. Like, just asks to speak to May. I like the scene within the casino very much. I think that's a nice, solid scene.
Casey truly is the star of this moment, though.
And Laura played that very well. Like, that is how you show someone drowning their sorrows. I don't know why they chose to make Bray's attempt Drowning Sorrows comedic when his situation was way more serious than just, the girl I like doesn't love me. You know what I mean? And instead with May gets the serious treatment when really all she's dealing with is unrequited feelings. I'm not trying to diminish that, but comparatively, Bray's the one who should have gotten the somber, serious, we're taking this serious, or we're validating your experience treatment, and he didn't, and it was like, why? But I like the casino scene.
Anything after that, though?
Oh, boy.
Dear sweet bride.
Okay. Let me start with the positives of the aftermath.
Wait, where?
The positives are Laura's performance, and the fact that she is being straightforward about how she feels, and I think she's making a responsible decision. In the same way that Ryan, when he realized he couldn't be in the mall with Celine because she didn't love him and he thought she loved Bray, which he was right, he decided to remove himself. Jack, realizing, I love Ellie, she doesn't love me, I can't be here. Instead of being here and it becoming toxic between us, he made the responsible decision, I can't do this, I'm going to remove myself from this situation that's not healthy for me. I like the fact that May was willing to do the same. She's like, and even explaining exactly why. I cannot be here, I cannot see you, and knowing I can't have you, it hurts too much. It doesn't feel that much like a guilt trip, it just feels like pure honesty. Because he's asking, why are you running off? You know what I mean? What's that about? And she's like, look, this is what it is. I cannot be there. I've never felt this way before. This is crushing. And then she even contemplates what that will turn into. It will actually make our relationship toxic because I'll just be hanging around. It won't be long before you resent the fact that I'm hanging around, still in love with you, still sad every time I see you. I don't want to be looked at by everybody like that. I liked that. That was a very honest reflection and very forward thinking for a teenager to consider the ramifications of sticking around and what that could turn into. And that's why I'm leaving. And you can't change my mind on that. It's what I have to do because I can't see any way else to deal with this pain. So I actually liked all that. Pride's response...
However,
wow, Pride, it's bad enough you're willing to just use this girl for sex, but at least that was out in the air. She called you on it, and instead of being honest, you could have been like, you're right, I did, I was wrong of me to put you in the position I did, and I care about you, but I don't know if I want anything with you, and maybe I was just trying to get over Amber. Like, he does not validate what he did to her at all. He doesn't acknowledge what he's done to her. Instead, he not only lies, but he gaslights her about the whole situation by almost claiming she's crazy for making these assumptions about him. And then doubles
that's
down.
what he wants to think about himself, I think.
Right! I'm like, the more I thought about it, the uglier and more despicable it became. Because even if you're going to lie and say you love her, now that's already bad, but you could have done that. And let's say you're just doing it because you don't want to be the bad guy. You could have at the very least admitted you've hurt her with your behavior and acknowledged that she's not imagining your lack of care. She's not imagining that you aren't pushing her away or that you used her. You know for a fact that's exactly what you did, but you're basically telling her she was crazy for ever having those thoughts because of course you love her. Like, you're doubling down on being a huge tool here. And it was like, wow. You could have just let this go and accepted that you hurt her and that you were wrong and let her go. And instead, you're going to make this worse. All because you want to be seen as the good guy. For all the things Bray did in not being able to detach himself from Trudy, he never lied and said, I'm in love with you and want to be your boyfriend. He never did that, you know? He was just like, I do care about you and I want to be in your life and I'll try to take care of you. But he never was like, oh, I love you, Trudy. I totally return your feelings and I want to be a dad to my niece. You know, he never played that card with her. He was trying to be as honest with her as he could. Pride, honesty, gone out the window. You know, like, it makes me question a lot about him.
Yeah. It makes me question my memories about him. I always remembered Pride as such a great guy until somewhere in season 4 or 5. Yet rewatching it now changes everything.
It's wild that Pride has a reputation of being a principled, good guy. When you start chalking up many of the things he's done, like stealing a baby and making sure that Celine stays behind to take the fall when you never had to set up Celine in the first place, take that baby, just there's these small things that start to stack up. You know what I mean? And you're just like, is he really a man of principle? Was he ever a man of principle? Or is it just the way he portrayed himself until you got the chance to look a little closer at him? And it makes me feel less bad about Amber kind of using him. just a tiny bit. It's more like she saw through him and he's like, he'll do for now, I guess. His behavior is
a nice boy toy.
Yeah, his behavior is so terrible, but it does make me wonder, maybe Pride's an unreliable narrator every time he talks about Amber, because not to mention his story changes every time he talks about what their relationship was. 1 minute they were engaged, next minute he's gaslighting Bray saying it was never like that with us, so why would you ever think? I'm starting to wonder about their entire relationship and how honest was Pride ever being about it? I mean, for all we know, Amber was never engaged to him and, gave him her ring as a sign of trust and companionship, and he made it much bigger in his head. We don't know. You know what I mean? These moments make me trust his side of the story less.
This whole thing makes me think that, maybe he was engaged to Amber, and their tradition is to, save anything they do until after whatever ceremony. But it makes it so clear that nothing ever really happened between them, because how could there have been?
All I'm saying is that Amber needs to make a tell-all, because she's pretty mum on what their relationship was. We only really get it from Pride, and I don't trust him anymore. And I'll even try devil's advocate in his defense. He is a teenager, and even in adulthood, it can be hard to tell someone the truth because your biggest fear is hurting or disappointing them. And many of us can still end up in situations when we're grown and we know better, we know the truth is the best way, and we will still enable a bad situation because our fear of hurting someone is so bad. It's so strong. We know it's not a good idea, blah, 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 but we do that. So there's that tiny part that wants to be like, okay, I kind of get it. He is a kid, and this girl just vomited her feeling out to him, poured her heart out, and is basically saying, I'm going to leave my home because you don't love me. And so part of me kind of understands this desire to be like, well, I don't want her to leave her home, because in the next episode, we'll even follow up with him making that clear. That's what it's all about. She's home now. That's all I wanted. And she even questions him, like, is that why you said what you said, just so I wouldn't leave? You know what I mean? And so I kind of get it, but tool. He's a tool.
Never thought I would say this, but yes, he is.
A lying one. A gaslighting, lying tool.
He's behaving worse than a lot of other guys in this whole show, and that's saying something.
It's just like, oh, buddy. And he even immediately regrets what he's saying, so you can't even say that he wants to believe what he's saying. Because the minute he holds her, you see the look on his face, like, oh no, what have I done? Like, he doesn't believe it, so you can't even make that argument for him. Certainly not confused about his feelings. He doesn't want to disappoint Amber. He doesn't want to be a bad man. So I'll just keep faking a relationship.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like May's mentally unstable.
Nope.
He can't even claim that that's why he does it. This girl ain't holding no plastic knife.
Oh, and you could even take it further that all of this is just because he doesn't want to go back in that mall, have to face Amber, knowing she's aware May left her home because you played with her heart and her body. Careless. He does not want Amber to think that about him.
No, and especially, both because it's Amber, but also because Amber is the person that did leave her home because a guy broke her heart. Or at least because he thought he did.
Yeah, don't worry, Pride. The karma stick's coming for you. Season 5. I'm not saying you deserve it. Like, karma came hard. It was very vengeful.
Oh, no plans. we'll be back.
I'll say the scene was beautifully shot.
Yeah, it was.
It's actually kind of creepy at how well he's able to lie to her face like that. Like when you think about the performances, like the way Pride is able to be so convincing as he's quote unquote reassuring her, like, well, you're wrong. You made all these assumptions about me. Because the truth is, I feel the same, and he seems so earnest. That's actually kind of scary when someone can lie that convincingly.
Ugh. Sleaze bag. Ugh.
It's like it makes it worse. Like he didn't even have to struggle with lying to her like that. Oh.
No, the way he took her hand, he just looked like, oh, I hate you. That was just sleazy, really sleazy Pride, and ugh. Yeah, no trouble doing that at all.
None.
Am I allowed to forget he did this now?
You got one more episode.
I want to go back in denial.
Like you said, yeah, I don't know where this kind of idea is about how we've forgotten all these things he's done, but yeah, he is awful.
And that's why I said this like reevaluating him makes me take everything he said about he and Amber's relationship and his flashbacks and into question, of what was really going on in that relationship. And I wouldn't be surprised if he was really bulldozing her into this relationship.
Yeah, this whole episode feels like just this big game of who's the biggest jerk.
But it is well acted, and I do think it's intriguing. Like, again, I don't mind a character being a total tool. And at least it doesn't feel like the narrative is pretending that what Pride is doing is okay. It's very clear that what he's doing is not okay. And it leaves you wondering, like, where is this going to go? And when the chickens come to roost, how bad and demonic are these chickens going to be, Pride? Because you're doing this to yourself,
Alright, back in the mall, Luke searches out Jack and hands him a note intended for Ellie. Yeah, panel, what did you make of the conversation here between Luke and Jack? Especially Luke looking to run away from his problems.
How absolute dare you, Luke? How dare you? I just can't get over the audacity of this man. I mean, it's his version of breaking up with someone via text message. Only it's worse because he involves the man he stole her from. How dare he hand that note to Jack of all people? Telling Jack, yeah, you give this to Ellie, okay? You get to be the guy that breaks her heart instead of me. You get to deliver the bad news that, she chose me over you, but, can't be bothered to stick around for her.
I don't have a problem with Luke leaving Ellie because it's literally the best thing he could do for her. And I will give him at least some credit for recognizing that he cannot make her happy, that he isn't any good for her. And so he definitely should leave. But this is minute credit. Okay, I'm just making it clear. I'm not giving him a cookie. I'm not like, oh my gosh, like how could he break up with her? It's like he should. I wish he discovered that sooner. But, let's be fair, we're all humans here, and realization can come late. He wanted to believe in all the things Ellie thought of him. He wanted to believe he was that person. So he was looking for constant validation from her that he really was this good person, only to be, have the epiphany. I am going to keep ending up doing the same thing. I'm going to keep ending up following the same kind of people. There's just something about me. I am attracted to corrupt people, and I'm easily used by corrupt people. He doesn't know how to get out of the situation with Ebony. He needs to go. Okay, fine. I wish you'd figured this out way sooner. Definitely. And you finally doing this very right thing doesn't make up for the fact that you started a predatory relationship with your prisoner. Nothing will ever make up for that. But at least you are rectifying it by getting the frick out of this poor child's life. A letter, Luke? I get it. He can't face her. But still, the letter, this is how you destroyed, in so many ways you destroyed her life. The things that she did, she went to bat for you. She deserved you to stand in front of her
Absolutely, yeah.
You know what I mean? She deserved that moment with you for whatever she might have needed to say to you. You know, you deserve to have to sit there and hear it, even if it was anger or hatred or her ire. Like, you deserved that. She deserved that. She earned that. It was owed to her, Luke. I get it. You didn't want to. And, you know, you're admitting yourself. I'm a coward. I cannot face that. He's saying he just doesn't want her to talk him out of leaving. But no, he is afraid of her response to him throwing everything away. She gave up everything for this relationship, and you're throwing it away in a letter, you know? And yeah, involving Jack is both kind of understandable, but also icky. I get it on one hand that of all that, he wants to make sure that the person who gives it to her is someone who cares about her. And it's clear Jack and Ellie care deeply for each other. Neither of them have wished the other pain or harm, regardless of the breakup. They do love each other, even if right now for Ellie it's not romantic. You know what I mean? So I kind of understand that. He knows that Jack loves Ellie and would deliver this delicately, but at the same time, it's just a letter. You could leave it on her bed. You could leave it in a place that you know
left it.
that she's the only one who will get it. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't need to be delivered by a person. You're just afraid of running into her. You know what I mean? And yeah, it's a little icky of putting Jack in this position, who it's already hard enough for him to be there, but he's working through it, and he's been very mature about it. Kudos, Jack, you're handling this well. And you're putting him in this really yucky, just uncomfortable. This is a boundary you're crossing another boundary. Like, this is not okay, Luke. Putting Jack here and giving Ellie another negative association with Jack because of you. Like, what the frick, Luke? Like, come on. Like,
Luke just likes the drama.
He loves the drama. He's going to make the most dramatic decision in any situation.
Yep.
And yeah, I loved, the conversation between he and Jack. I thought that was very well acted. Jack is his utter just, are you freaking kidding me? But I also love it because it's not just like, oh, you won the girl and now you're ditching her. Jack seems very genuinely concerned for how Ellie is going to feel when he has to give her this. Even when he's saying it, feels like he's trying to change Luke's mind. Like, you won't survive out there. Like anything that would scare Luke out of making this decision, stay, because he doesn't want Ellie to hurt. He doesn't want her to feel pain any more than Ellie wanted Jack to feel pain. And so I really like that. It didn't feel like my rival is dumping her, like neither one of us got the girl. There's not even an inkling of, I might have a chance with her now because you're gone. See ya, bye. He doesn't want Luke to go because it's going to kill Ellie. And that's not what Jack wants. So I thought that was really well acted and actually pretty well written. And he's just so like, how could you do this? What the heck is wrong with you? She doesn't deserve this. She gave everything for you. And she was happy, and you're ripping it away from her because you're a coward. And the way you're doing it, you're involving me? Like, what is wrong with you? So, yeah, I thought that was a great scene. And I'm not sad that Luke is ending it. I'm like, go away. Leave her alone. You need to go. Luke, you need to go get some therapy. You need to work things out for yourself. You should not be in a relationship. I just wish he'd done it to her face. But I do think that's a nice button on the reality of this relationship, that he can't do it to her face. It seems fitting for Luke that he can't break up with her to her face. So yes, Luke, you're doing the right thing. You're just going about it the wrong way.
Freedom not to your liking, Guardian?
I am free. It's just my body that's captive.
That must be quite inconvenient.
It matters little to me.
Unfortunately, it gives me a problem. What do I do if I want to keep certain secrets that only you and I know about?
Poor Ebony, caught in a web of her own making. You're more of a prisoner than I am.
So yeah, Panel, a few things within this. What did you think of the Guardian's words to Ebony that she'd make a brilliant chosen? And the discussion here between Amber and Bray.
I mean, Jaffa was absolutely right. He would have made a brilliant chosen. He's, smart, cunning, ruthless. She's awesome. As for Bray and Amber, I get why they want to put her on trial, but with what authority?
Yeah.
What makes you what puts you guys in a position to have the authority to say, "Oh, see, we need to put her on trial"? You're not in charge.
I like these scenes, especially like the one between Ebony and the Guardian. So nice to have the Guardian back. Oh, coherent. I mean, he's still, out of his tree, but in the, the Guardian's way of the way he sees the world. And it's just so good, this conversation between the two of them. And see Ebony a little shaken, like, oh crap, I've got one heck of a loose end. You know what I mean? Like, what am I gonna do about this? So that just was a great scene between the two of them. And I love that he's like, I'm not even pretending I'm crazy anymore. I tried that. It sucked. It was boring. Tyson kept feeding me gruel. I don't want to do that anymore. I'm just going to, this is who I am. I'm not afraid of what you guys are going to do to me. You're not, you know what I mean? I like that. I love that energy. I even like the way it's framed, the way she walks into the light. Eye lighting on her is fantastic. Bray and Amber in the background listening to this back and forth, and you can just see the wheels in Amber's head turning. Like, okay, things are starting to make sense for me now, So I thought that scene was brilliant. I actually don't mind the scene between Amber and Bray. Granted, it's another one of those where there's a lot more that could have been said, but I like the way they're communicating with each other. One of them, just a nice, healthy back and forth between them. When Bray immediately goes into denial mode, I like the way Amber shifts that conversation because she knows this man. All right, so when he's just like, wait, and she's like, okay, let's just pretend we are using our imaginations, right? I was like, that was a beautiful pivot. I like the way you handled that. Like, okay, maybe you're right, but let's just pretend that maybe it's all crazy. I thought that was nice. The conclusion, like, what would she have to gain? It was just nice to actually have a conversation about, like, what would be the point of the actions being taken, whether it was by Ned or whether it was by Ebony, because again, nobody has really bothered to do that, to discuss why Ned would have done what he did. No one's bothered to think about it. And so I appreciate that. And I like, things clicking in Amber's brain. Like, what would Ebony have to gain? Votes. Even though I wish she'd gone a little deeper, because she would have realized leadership, not just the votes, but no competition from you. Bray had to drop out of the running because the Guardian escaped. It would have been Bray running for city leader, So I wish they'd made that tiny little connection, but I didn't mind it, It was efficient. It got us where we needed to be. And again, I like them having healthy communication and listening to each other. Bray doesn't want to believe this about Ebony, but he can't deny that his girlfriend has just made some really good points. And, okay, we definitely have to investigate this. You're right. It's valid, and this is serious.
Yeah, and Bray really never wants to believe that about certain people.
Yeah, because once again, it's like, oh, are you serious? I was fooled again? Can I trust myself ever?
No, Bray, you can't.
I agree with you, though. Like, with what authority? Because once again, are you two, is just the mall rats going to put the city leader who was voted by the city on trial? Or are you going to involve any other tribe members and explain, like, what evidence you have and, or your concerns about the city leader? Like, so I agree with you. Like, with what authority are you going to do this?
Yeah, because it's like they're always instantly saying, oh, we're going to put this person on trial, or we're going to arrange that.
Right. It's like, says who? Yeah, I would like some acknowledgement that Ebony was voted in by the city. So what the other people in the city think about this is going to matter more than what you two think about it. So no, the Mallrats can't just start an investigation into Ebony and put her on trial. Like, that's something that's the other tribe leaders would have to agree to, right? Like,
Yeah, one would think so.
Yeah, wouldn't they need to be in on this? Wouldn't they have to be informed about possible corruption in the city leader 2 days after she became city leader? Oh. But no, that's not how. In this world, all it takes is a couple people in the Mallrats who think something needs to be done, specifically Bray or Amber or Bray and Danny. And then
If Bray, who was forced to drop out of this race because the people didn't trust him anymore, decides that we need to investigate Ebony, but because, she might have done something naughty. Like, how on earth does he really think people are going to go with that?
Yeah.
He got to be a leader because the people didn't trust him anymore. So why would they trust him on this?
It's true. But they speak like it's just a given. Like, this is what we're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't talk
Because
about, like, how are we going to convince
if Amber says so, the whole city believes it.
I would have liked that added, like, this could be a problem. Because how are we going to convince anybody that Ebony may have been up to something shady? You know what I mean? That she might actually have been behind the death of somebody. Like, how are we going to convince all these people who've already voted for her to believe that with so little evidence? We only have the word of the Guardian, the person everybody wanted us to kill. Like, I would have liked them to at least address that, because they speak as though this is just a solid, we need to investigate her. And then Amber's like, you do know that this means we might have to put her on trial. And it's like, who's we? Who's going to put her on trial? You two? The Mallrats are going to put her on trial? Like,
like how?
Why are we not concerned with, like, this would be an uphill battle, because you have to at least bring your suspicions to the attention of other people in the city. Like, what court of law, what authority do you guys have to be making these decisions? And nope, we're not going to address that, because the Mallrats are the only tribe that matters.
I was going to say, no one else exists anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, so at least they're communicating in a healthy manner, working together as a team, which is awesome.
That brings us to our final thoughts of the episode. In a last-ditch effort to get rid of the Guardian once and for all, Ebony meets a tearful Ellie who has just read Luke's letter.
I don't know.
Ellie, you can't go through something like this by yourself. You have to promise me you'll go talk to her. Do you promise? Good. You come back and see me when you're done, okay? Oh, and while you're there, Ellie, you might want to tell Alice the news. The Guardian admitted to wasting Ned.
So yeah, what are your thoughts on Ebony going to any lengths to kill the Guardian?
Diabolical! Oh my god!
Oh,
smart though.
So smart.
Incredible.
I love the fact that when she's at the cage and he is spewing her secrets, seeding doubt. She walks away, like, she dismisses him. He's crazy, but she's immediately working on a new plan. He's got to go. Right? And I love that she landed on Alice. Like, who could I get to kill him where it would be seen as justified? You know what I mean? Like, I just thought that was wild, but also very brilliant, because I don't believe that that Ebony would want anything bad to happen to Alice. She actually does like Alice, even if they didn't get to grow that relationship any further. But that's the one person who could totally kill him, and
get away with it.
She could get away with it because, one, the city would be thrilled, and she could easily be like, oh, it was temporary insanity because Alice was grieving, and he killed, her lover. So who's going to want to put Alice in jail? It's really nice master stroke. And even the Mallrats wouldn't want to do anything to Alice about it. You might have a couple naysayers like Amber, like, oh, is it justice? Blah, blah, blah. But, no, the majority is going to be like, let her go. Like, fine. She got rid of someone we didn't want. None of us have blood on our hands. We did what we could to keep him alive. We were as fair as we could. He screwed up and killed another person and got his just desserts, And so the fact that she came up with that, and the way she delivers it. I loved it because she went right back into that mode of being that helpful person she's been in the mall. Just kind and, listening and sensitive and showing like, oh, I give a crap about your problem. Like, she's so tender in that moment with Ellie that you would think she's being sincere as she's taking advantage of this girl in her emotional state. Because she wasn't prepared to find Ellie crying, remember? She clearly went to find Ellie to send Ellie, like, I think you should go tell your sister this. But this was even better because Ellie is so emotionally vulnerable right now. She's not thinking through what Ebony is asking her to do. You know what I mean? So it just worked out for Ebony, and how quick, she had to switch gears, that she find Ellie crying and heartbroken, and played on that. Like, oh my gosh, you shouldn't be alone, girl. You need your sister. Oh my god.
Oh, Ebony.
Like, wow. I was like, that was a good move. What are you going to do? You need to get this guy to shut up. Because she was going to walk in that cage and take care of him herself before Bray and Amber walked in. But now she knows she cannot go near him because he sowed that seed of doubt in Bray and Amber's head.
Yeah.
So she's got to make sure I have nothing to do. I can't do it myself because they will suspect me immediately, but Alice?
And rightfully so.
I was like, okay, you go, girl. That's a nice plan. Alice is known for being a fierce warrior, and she is clearly deep in mourning right now. So if we could just channel that energy, it's a nice play.
It was brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a nice play.
I can't be annoyed at Ebony. She played it so brilliantly. It was masterful.
Did. Excellent this episode. Just fantastic evil villain energy coming off of her, and girl boss, gatekeep, whatever. And I liked, I just like the scene in general. The aftermath of Ellie reading the letter. I like that we got to hear what was said in the letter. Yeah, I thought that it just all worked out really great, and I felt bad. I felt terrible for Ellie. Because again, she gave up everything for this man, and she genuinely loved him. And this is how he left her, with a letter. I thought that was actually a pretty cool way a nice cliffhanger for the of all the what do they call it? The penultimate episode, the one that's always right before a finale. I thought this was actually a really good one. Like, there was a lot of momentum and energy setting the stage for the finale comparatively, because there are others where it just doesn't. Like, for example, the season 2 penultimate episode felt very flat and draggy, and everyone was sleepwalking. This one, I will say, there's a good forward momentum setting the stage, what's going to happen, putting everything in its place. And understanding the objective to ending this season, despite how absolutely bonkers and messy it is.
No, it was a good cliffhanger. I enjoyed it. I was like, oh my god, what's going to happen?
Even the stupid, Amber constantly grabbing her stomach just to twinge. Okay, yeah. They're even.
She was told, specifically, you're going to need to touch it more. Touch it more. Touch it.
We know you're
We need
only
to sell this.
at most 4 months pregnant, but we have to sell this early birth.
Sell it, yeah. They were like, oh, we run out of time. We have to sell it. Come on, touch it more. Act in pain.
Because remember, tomorrow she's going to be huge.
Yeah. Wow, they really scrambled. Yeah.
I mean, honestly, if a baby would be growing that fast, you would be clenching your belly.
It's like that scene out of Prometheus. Like, that's not a human baby that's in there. You should be very concerned.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. It's crazy that even sitcoms put more thought into trying to stretch out a pregnancy as realistically as they actually can. You know what I mean? They didn't even try to sell this pregnancy in a realistic way.
Mm.
Yeah, they did a much better job of that with Trudy, but to be fair, they only had a few episodes to her pregnancy, and they didn't have to do the beginning.
I just wish they hadn't needed. I wish they hadn't felt the need to put Amber in labor for the finale.
Yeah.
because that's what it's all about. They were so
Mhm.
desperate to get to a labor that you would literally have to be too young to know how long a pregnancy lasts to be able to buy any of this, you know? And it's like most kids take like a class when they're 11 in like the 5th grade to learn, women are pregnant for 9 months. So past that, you would know there's something seriously wrong with Amber's pregnancy. So almost everyone in the target audience would be like, wait a minute, what is happening? What is she giving birth to? This is very, very confusing. And I'm like, you were so desperate to have that big dramatic moment of her going into preterm labor that you didn't even care if any of this made sense, and you didn't plan for it, you know? But then again, you didn't plan for a lot in this season. It's just stuff happening. And none of it comes together.
You're right. Like, how could they didn't plan it? It's like, like it's so odd. Like, why did you want to end like this? And you didn't even plan it. Like, you didn't even know where Amber and Bray were going to end up. That's what you're telling me. Like, even after all this time,
they just wanted that dramatic birth. That's all they wanted.
It's more dramatic if Bray goes missing just before his child is born.
And it's like he could have still gone missing. Like, I don't even know if they knew that Dwayne was going to be leaving. You know, but it's like, you could have left it just at them being banished, you know, and you could have still had a cliffhanger with Amber feeling pain because she has been. There's a lot of things that could be happening inside of her, you know, but the baby's coming. Like, are you serious? Why did you need that so badly? As I don't know, this finale is going to be pure insanity.
yeah. There is a lot going on in the finale.
Everything in the kitchen sink in this finale, and none of it makes an ounce of sense. Nothing in the finale will make any sense. It's like a slow motion train wreck, but I have to admit, like, this is a good climax, like a good cliffhanger, even if, you know, what we get afterward is like, WTF. Like, fine, I guess this is the messy burger that we are closing the season with, because it's been a total mess anyway. Why should the finale make any sense? Is it sad that the finale to season 4 makes more sense than the finale we're about to get?
No, wait, no. I will fight you on that. No way. That Scooby-Doo season 4 finale. No. I cannot accept that.
I can at least follow that one. I'm not saying it was good. It's garbage. I'm just saying it at least makes a little bit more sense than everything is going to be happening in this finale.
It did make sense. It was just okay, we'll get to it. It was just oh my god, I got a lot to say about that. Yeah.
And that's just purely on the logic that has been presented to us. Season 4 technically makes sense for what the information we were given for that insane season.
Oh my god.
This one will not make an ounce of sense. It'll just be peppered with nonsensical BS.
Buckle up, folks. It's going to be a fun ride.
Oh, I can't tell you guys how happy I am that we're at the end.
Yay! Me too. Bloody hell, yeah.
First third of season 3, I love it. Okay, I think most people agree. First part of season 3 is very good. Then that second third is a slog. You know, very little direction, just a lot of waiting around, and then the last third is just a crack binge of craziness. Like, what is happening? And it was really hard to get through, and I'm so glad that we are at the end. Thrilled, you guys.
Alright, cool. On that note, that brings Series 3, Episode 51 to a close. Thank you very much to the panel, and if you'd like to take part in a future episode of the podcast, or to even send us a message, you can do so on our Facebook page, on our website, on Instagram. Search for thetribe.co.uk or Conversations on Eagle Mountain. So we'll see you next time for the finale, episode 52. Until then, bye.
Bye.
Bye.